Time is a gift, and we are all granted our own quantity of it. But what's mysterious about having our own quantity of time is that no one really knows how much of it that we really have. This alone is not a crisis until we realize that we have very little time left. Being short on time changes our perspective and narrows our focus. This is fundamental to Parkinson's law. Being short on time also creates regret, unless we have figured out earlier in life that there is much more to this journey than chasing the clock. Hence, the concept of owning your 5 to 9, it's not just about reclaiming time or creating a masterful morning or evening routine. It's about reclaiming a different perspective, purpose. When we know our why, we will know our way. This clarity of our soulful intentions each day reduces stress and improves our perspective on time. For the most part of the last year, this platform has revolved around purpose, passion, and values. But I've spent little time actually talking about practical ways of reclaiming time. So today is an introduction of a 4-week series on time management, where I'll be given a wide array of ways to better structure our days. This series will have some overlapping themes and some redundant tips, but the goal is to introduce a wide buffet of tools that you can pick and choose from to get to a place of being better with time. We'll be right back. You are listening to the Work Life Eubiosis podcast with your host, Charleston Edwards. If this is your first time here, welcome. My goal is simple: to eradicate burnout and to bring harmony, purpose, and balance to this world, starting with the family. My hope is that this show and the story shared will provide encouragement and ideas that will be valuable to you on your journey to work-life freedom. So let's dive in to today's episode. Complete these sentences. You reap what goes up must come. To every action, there is an equal and opposite. And lastly, less is. The world operates on rhythms, laws of science, and physics, gravity, motion, energy, seasons, and space. Look around wherever you're at right now, and you will find a law of nature. But very few people have heard of Parkinson's law, which outlines the human relationship with time and work. Parkinson's law says that work expands into the time given or its completion. This law plays out in meetings, activities, projects, which are all corralled by time. Unfortunately, most of us walk around stressed with a time poverty mindset, frequently saying, "I don't have enough time." It's easy to say and convince ourselves in moments of overwhelm that this statement is true. But Parkinson's law works in the opposite direction and with a different perspective. Parkinson's law is the glass half full perspective, a time-rich lens that says, I do have enough time. Parkinson's law re-explained is work gets done in the time available. Parkinson's law runs my week in busy seasons and when the schedule is light. And I find that I have so much on my list, the same amount of work can get done with a time-rich perspective. This philosophy is not a permission slip to overstuff my bags of to-dos. It's also not a permission slip to say that I can do it all. Parkinson's law is a strategic approach to reduce the amount of time that we allot to projects, meetings, and tasks so we can get our most important work completed. Cyril Northcote Parkinson was an author, mathematician, and British naval historian who first introduced his law of efficiency in 1955 through a humorous satire published in The Economist. Parkinson poked fun at bureaucratic organizations that operated inefficiently through overhiring and overspending. Parkinson saw flaws in wasted time and human resources as organizations and governments grew. This critique is just as relevant today as it was in the 1950s. Though the 40-hour work week and commuting has been overhauled in recent years, we are still spending too much time meeting and less time working. And though we can communicate at the speed of lightning and work from anywhere and any time, we still fall victim to communication overload in our pursuit of progress. Ironically, Pursuit of Progress is the subtitle of Parkinson's Law book. Parkinson observed this natural force play out in the workforce. When given a specific time to do something, we all use all of that time to complete our work. This goes for procrastinators especially. Procrastinators know the power of Parkinson's law without even knowing that they are following that law. If we are going to obey Parkinson's law to find more time, we must ask ourselves 4 questions. Are we allotting too much time for work? Do we have too much on our plate? Are we spending too much time communicating? Do we have a problem saying no? Let's start with number 4. We are not good at saying no. We live in an overdo-it society as we race against time. Let's explore. We overindulge, we overload, we overcommit, we overcomplicate, we overachieve. We are consistently overwhelmed with overwhelm, resulting in the biggest rise of burnout that this world has ever experienced. But that's not it. When you stir all these overs together into an organization trying to survive in this economy, we have produced an overhead issue. Cal Newport, author of A World Without Email, has often stated that the overhead of an organization is not about the number of employees. It's about the communication challenges of collaboration that are ignorant to the overwhelming amount of work that has to get done. When 40 hours are spent collaborating, task managing, or responding to correspondences, it leaves very little to no time inside the allotted hours to get the purposeful work completed. So as much as this sounds like our workflows are a dumpster fire, I don't believe that it's truly all over. We have the perfect circumstances to overhaul our overwhelm. We must rethink our modern day systems. We must rethink our communication systems. We must rethink and reimagine our rhythms of work. Overhauling anything has 3 phases: remove, reimagine, and replace. The overhaul to our high-octane workflows can be solved in a multitude of ways. But I'm introducing my own framework that supports a more humane way of living and working, a transformational model that not only saves us time, but can save our relationships, our health, and a sense of fulfillment. So, step number 1 is remove. We must demolish and remove all frameworks, existing systems, and pre-programmed thoughts about our relationship with time. This is a change in mindset, removing the old thinking. Most people don't think we can make more time, and in theory, this is correct. We are all given the same 24 hours in a day. However, the goal in this 3-step framework is to make more time to do purposeful work. This is not just a productivity hack. It's called a life of freedom. Instead of being a slave to the clock, we must make time work for us. To understand where we can save time starts with a simple time audit. Time audits can be used personally, for teams, and even for projects. If we can spend time assessing and analyzing how we spend our money and looking at our bank accounts, we can do the same type of assessment of our calendar and how we're spending our time. Once you understand how you're spending your time, you must then start eliminating tasks that aren't serving you, eliminating the tasks that are draining you, or the tasks that have drifted outside of your values, or even your job description. This can be quite complicated for both employees and entrepreneurs. So this is where doing an assessment with a peer, a mentor, a coach, or a manager can help in deciding what junky task to toss for good. Less is more is not just a cliche. It's a natural law when applied correctly. When you can spend more time doing the one thing that you are natural at, the output and the outcomes will be richer and more fulfilling. The second step is to reimagine what your ideal life would look like if you could design it outside of the framework of your current situation. Is work-life balance a real thing that can be achieved? That answer is yes. Yes, this can be done as an entrepreneur, and yes, it could be done as an employee as well. But first, let's get out of the weeds and reimagine your future self. What does the ideal and balanced life look like in this reimagined state without the constraints? Answer these questions. What does my family life look like? What does my time on the job look like? What activities am I doing more of and doing less of? What steals my energy so much that it needs to be trashed altogether? What are my hurdles to making changes? What is a realistic timeline to start changing anything that I've just listed in these previous questions? And have I done a time audit? And in this time audit, have I built out what my ideal day would look like? These questions are meant to cast a vision of the bigger pillars of life to a level that allows you to reprioritize the list and the structures of our day. And then step number 3 is replace. Replacing the old system is where we go full circle back to Parkinson's law. This is where you rebuild your time in the order that better serves you and your values. This law is for time management, it's for load management, and it's even for energy management. All three must be kept in mind when establishing activities, work or leisure, for your ideal day and your ideal life. And remember, work expands to the time allotted to a task. With this law, it allows us to reduce the time of our activities. Parkinson's law of compressing time inherently makes us do two things better: focus and filter. When we are short on time, it becomes natural to focus on the most important task or people at hand. When we understand this as a proactive, strategic approach to time management, we can now start to filter out the fluff, reduce the time given to a project or a meeting, and then start reclaiming the free time for other activities. In the spirit of Parkinson's frequent satires on organizational inefficiencies, I thought I would share my own Parkinson's satire on efficiency. You can call these the 10 commandments of Parkinson's law that are foundational to my work-life operating system. These are extremely practical, so take these hacks for what they're worth and then replace them with your own personal commandments and constitutions. Number 1, thou shalt not have meetings on Mondays or Fridays. Number 2, thou shalt not open emails or social media before 9 a.m. Number 3, thou shalt not accept a meeting the same day I receive a request. Number 4, thou shalt not work on an administrative task list on a day when I am doing a major project. Number 5, thou shalt not accept or conduct a meeting without an agenda. Number 6, thou shalt not have more than one major project on my to-do list for the days that I am meeting free. Number 7, thou shalt not conduct a 30-minute or 60-minute meeting as a default. I set 25 minutes or 50 minutes as the default. Number 8, thou shalt not hold meetings back to back unless it's on the same topic or theme. Number 9, thou shalt always have flexible hours every day for my core values that's not related to work. And number 10, thou shalt not steal time from others in the manner that I also look to protect my time. In other words, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Like the real 10 commandments of the Bible, no one is perfect at obedience. So there are exceptions as life happens in real time, and my list of Parkinson's commandments are oftentimes broken laws. However, because I have established an operating system at work with boundaries according to Parkinson's law and God's law, my time is much more intentional, focused, and fulfilled. So if you're looking for a place to start in creating your own boundaries or time management laws, here are 4 concepts to put into practice right away. Number 1, shorten your meetings. Condense your meetings by half the time than the default for your practice or in your workplace. Experiment with it, test it out, make sure your team is on board, and be sure to send out agendas ahead of time. Number 2, set meeting-free days. Make 1 or 2 days of the week meeting-free, while still compressing your meetings on the other days to be shorter and not back-to-back. Number 3, perform a quota assessment. As humans, we have limits. We must know our workloads. We must know how far we can stretch and when we have to say no. We must also know when it's best to delegate or lean on a partner. Doing a time audit and applying a model like the Eisenhower matrix, the do, decide, delegate, delete model, it's a great place to really look at our task holistically. One call out is that we must understand that every human is unique, not only in gifts and talents, but also in the approach and in the speed that it gets done. This is all important when trying to manage a day, a work week, or a life. We have to be real with who we are, own it, embrace it, and love it. And number 4, lock in a morning routine. This is a game changer. Establish an unbreakable morning routine that has nothing to do with your day job. Hydration, prayer, meditation, getting out in nature, moving your body, reading, and journaling are all fundamentals for getting grounded, centered, and eliminating stress before punching the clock. Morning routines that fuel you is instrumental to having a productive and fulfilling day. Work on yourself and your family before jumping into work. Your relationship with time is just as important as your relationship with work. Apply Parkinson's law to help you focus and filter out the fluff and experience the life that you were designed to live. Thank you for listening to the Work-Life Eubiosis podcast, part of the Work-Life resources created by Own Your 5 to 9. I hope that you have found encouragement and a few ideas to strengthen your journey to purpose, freedom, and balance. Have you overcome burnout and found a new way of life? Millions around the globe are still at the risk of burnout and losing it all. And your story may be the one that sparks not only a dream, but action. Visit ownyour5to9.com for more information and submit your story. While you're there, join the Work-Life Eubiosis newsletter and receive additional resources weekly right to your inbox. If you enjoy this podcast, take time to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Share it with a friend or loved one. Remember, the most important organization in the world is the family. Let's do our part to strengthen it. Thank you for listening.